Yo, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another Clash of Clans video. Today's a little bit different where we're going to be showing some base showcases. But first, as you can see in the background, we are upgrading our town halls finally to Town Hall 12 on my two main accounts, AwesomeB99 and BenBen. But not just the main accounts, as you can see, I will also be upgrading to Town Hall 10 on LOL's 55 right here, which is like the lowest level account, kind of, I have. And here's ACR, Town Hall 10 going to Town Hall 11 as well. That's not all though, we are also going to be upgrading my friend Matt to Town Hall 12, and I will not be upgrading Epic yet, but that will be coming soon in the future. And Hydraulic, which is like a shared account with me and Epic, and as you can see, so pretty much every account going up. So now I'm going to start by showing the Town Hall 9 and 10 bases that I used for the wars. Alright, so the first base is the LOL's 55 base that I pretty much ran for most of the time during the streak build up. Next is an earlier 1009 base that I ran for LOLs, but it's not as good as the previous one. Finally, I have the OG Michelle base, which is one of the best bases in history because it defended pretty much every 1009 except for the last clan that we lost to. Next up, moving on to the Town Hall 10s, this is for ACR. Now this is the base that I mainly used back in the day for AwesomeB99 and BenBen, but it's not as good now in 2023. This is another Town Hall 10 base, but I never really ran this, so I don't really know how good it is, but you can give it a go. Finally, this is the most recent Town Hall 10 base that I ran, and it's pretty good because the Inferno Towers are very well placed. This is a disclaimer to say that the bases coming up next are designed only to defend against a general specific army. For example, the most common Zap Witch army is 8 Zap, 2 Earthquake, triple Golem, and 12 to 14 Witches. These bases mostly only defend that exact strategy as listed in the title, but please note that they are not perfect and it is still possible to win with that said strategy. Now let's move on to the anti-E-drag bases. Coming in first is the best anti-E-drag base that Levin custom made, and the reason why it works so well is because you can see that a lot of the buildings have a 2-tile gap between each one, which means that E-drags cannot really chain the buildings. Now it doesn't really defend any other strategy, but it does its job very well against E-drags. Next up is some random CWL base that I found, and this one works somewhat well against E-drag. Not as good as the first one, but I decided to use it because we wanted to have some variation, not just have every single person run the exact same base. Next is an older version of the first base that Levin made, and this is anti-E-drag version 1, but this one's not as good, but I guess this one's actually pretty good. If the enemy muck up, then they only get 1 star. Next is a Town Hall 10 version of anti-E-drag, which is meant to stop Town Hall 11 E-drag spammers. Now, unlike the other bases, it works very well against Rage E-drag, but not as well against Zap E-drag, but still pretty good. Now I'll present the Town Hall 11 anti-Zap Witch bases that Levin custom made, which all work extremely well. First up is the OG base, and we called it that because it was the first base that Levin custom made for Town Hall 11, and it works very well against Zap Witch, Dragon, and also your standard Laloon. This base is not as good as the other anti-Zap Witch bases, but it's still very good, and most of the time the top left compartment will stay up. This is the third base, and the reason why these bases work so well is because of the Inferno Tower placements, which means you can't get any zap value, and also the defenses are placed in a way where the golems will be forced to bust the wall, and your witches will still walk around the outside and then get blown up by the giant bombs. This is the fourth base, by the way. Now moving on to the Town Hall 11 Anti Hybrid bases, which all have very hard funnels where the Queen Charge is expected to come in. This first base baits the player into Queen Charging the bottom because they think that they'll be able to kill the heroes and the CC, and the reason why this one works well is because you have a very deadly section of quadruple expos and a Tesla farm. Anti Hybrid base 2 predicts that the player will Queen Charge the left to get the heroes and the CC, and you can see that the left side is very baited with the Black Mines if they don't do Coco Loons. Anti-Hybrid base 3 predicts that the player will Queen Charge the bottom, and the Mortar on the bottom left will pull the Queen if they don't kill that, and the Seeking Air Mines are placed again, which will kill the healers if they don't do Coco Loons. Also, it is expected that they will hog from the very left to kill the multi-Inferno quickly, and the bomb towers are placed strategically on the top right, which should kill a lot of the hogs and miners. This is Anti-Hybrid 4, and I never really got around to making this base, and because of that you'll see that there's actually 4 barracks, which is the old update. Now if you make this base, just fiddle around with those, and this base should work pretty well. Lastly, for Town Hall 11 we have the anti-dragon bases. Now being the Dragon Master, I never really tested these bases, but I'll just take Levin's word that he tested them on the private server and they work pretty well. The first base is kind of a squarish design, and this one works pretty well against dragons, and you need to know that we didn't really run these bases much, and the reason being is that pretty much no one actually used Zap Drag in regular wars, which was actually kind of unexpected because it is so common at like Town Hall 9 and 10. Alright, so this is the second base, and now moving on to the third base. This is a base that I copied a long time ago, and this one actually defends pretty well against Zap Witch as well, so yeah, this is a base that I would actually recommend you to try out. Now, it's still possible to beat these bases, but just know that it is very hard. And finally, we have the OG base once more, because this is very good against dragons. Lastly, I'll cover Levin's custom bases for Town Hall 13. The first one is an older base that Levin ran, and this is kind of a general purpose base, but the traps are placed to be anti-Hydra. Next up is a Town Hall 13 Anti-E drag base. Furthermore, we have another base which was designed to be anti-Hydra, but honestly we're not too sure if it actually defends it or not. The last and most recent base is an attempt to be an anti-Yeti base, but it's also good as a general purpose base. Thanks for watching. The description will have links to most of these bases. Now please note that base links do expire, and because of that you might have to manually copy them. Hopefully the patience will pay off and it'll help you win more wars. See you guys in the next video. Bye.